I hear private label buzzing a lot. What are your thoughts on it? Because I know you've done private label in the past and you've done wholesale. So what is your honest opinion on both, since you've done both before?
I mean, for me, I'll kick this off. And, the reason that private label is has such a nice appeal, a curbside appeal, if you will, is because of you get all the sales, and you generally get large margins, or much more large margins than you would expect in wholesale. And that's once it's all up, done, and polished. But what isn't really advertised as much is how much money it takes to get that product to that point. And not every product can get to that point. Like you're your own promotion. Like this product, you've got to understand, when you're making this product for private label, it doesn't exist. Now you've got to put it in the consciousness of the buyer, which means that you have to advertise, you have to give away, you have to do promotions, you have to make your product relevant when people are searching for it. Then that takes money. And then even then, you're going to have competition, because, okay, let's say you've done all this, you've spent this money, you've had, a 3-month, 4-month turnaround and getting your product shipped over on a container. So you've had to float your cost of goods for that amount of time too. Now you're relevant and you've gotten your sales for 2 or 3 months where you have nothing proprietary. There's nothing that's going to stop me or any other good private labeler to go into the same source you did, which is Alibaba.com, finding the exact same thing, putting my brand name on it, pumping my money into it, and now you have a direct competitor. So yeah, you're still getting all of your buy box sales on your product, but you're getting fewer of them, because the exact same thing, Steve Co here is doing the exact same thing that I did for 5 months and made a lot of money on, and because there's nothing proprietary. I don't have any intellectual property.
I improved it just a little bit and I sold a little more.
Right. And then, so you're still sharing sales, but people that you don't really, because that's what they say about wholesale. It's like, well, you're splitting shares with, 4 or 5 people are all getting, and it's like you are too with private label if your product becomes relevant. If it doesn't matter anyway. Nobody's getting any sales.
Right. Like that's the problem with private label. If your product doesn't sell, it is dead. Yeah. Like you lose that entire amount of money. And we get contacted by companies relatively often saying, hey, will you help us work with our brand? Because they know a lot of, we have our website and they know a lot about what we do. And we actually got contacted by one yesterday. This lady had bought, she's very successful too, very successful outside of Amazon. She bought a private label product. She bought 2,000 units at $55 each. I mean, so you can do the math. Big old investment on that one. And she sent it into Amazon. She pumped a ton. She said she pumped a ton of money into marketing, and product just won't do it. Like she had competitors come in, and they're obviously as capitalized as she is, and she can't get the product to take off. And it's been 8 months. And she's like, I just need to get out of this product. Can you help me find a place to liquidate this thing? And it's like, can you, that's the problem with private label is when your product doesn't sell, you can't do anything with it. Whereas like if we have a bad product, because bear in mind that everything we buy is already existing on Amazon and already selling very well.
So what you're saying is when you're wholesaling a product versus private label, you've got to build the brand from scratch. You've got to run the PPC. You've got to get the reviews. You've got to get people to know you. Hopefully, maybe you're building an email list or something. Whereas when you're going wholesale, you're piggybacking on a brand that already has a following, that has like their own little tribe. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
100%.
And it also has the historical sales data with, proven sales rank over time. So like he said, when he said if a product goes bad for us, it's not like bad in the sense of private label, like it doesn't sell. He's saying, if the margin goes away a little bit or it's not as, enticing once we get it, we're still going to sell the product. It has, its sales rank is 2,000 already. It has been for months or years. And we're going to be able to get our money back. If the dead product, private label product isn't selling, there's nothing you can do. You can't make it sell. There's no demand for it.
In our model, if, like I said, we target very liquid products. I mean, that's a big part of our business. So whenever a product, like you said, it goes down, the worst case scenario for us usually is losing 5 to 10%, and our money's back. Like we don't buy products deep, we buy a month's supply. So it's like we sell through those units and we just don't restock the product, and we find something better. So it's, that's like worst case scenario for us that we've seen in 2.5 years. With private label, it's so hard to recover your funds if it goes poorly. And that's what most people don't realize. And then there's other issues. With what about product liability? Like nobody can answer that question, because here's the thing is, like, let's say that Steve Co creates a product. You are the manufacturer of record. Like if a child chokes, like you get your product and chokes on it, like you're getting sued. Now, whether your insurance covers you or not, there's a lot of loopholes there. Like, did you have it properly tested? Did you do all these other things? And then look at what Amazon recently did with fidget spinners. Like, that's really important, I think, is, and this shows that private label products can just be turned off in a whim too. Like, all these people who brought these fidget spinners to the market, what did Amazon require? They started requiring government testing. Do you know how hard it is to get government testing? It's like, it's dang near impossible. Like, that's the problem. So these people are going to have to go get tested to get their products reauthorized. Otherwise, it is literally dead money in their inventory. Now, if that happened to us, like, our companies do that for us. Like, all we do is like, hey, we need this documentation. Can you ship it to us?
Yeah, and they are the manufacturer too.
Right.
They're the manufacturer on record. So if a consumer has a poor experience and somebody gets sued, they're the manufacturer of the product. So it's that company that is liable for the product.
And then you talk about a lot of promotion strategies with private label. Like, you start talking about giveaways and all this stuff. All that stuff is actually against the rules on Amazon. I mean, it's actually against the rules.
I know there's a lot of loopholes. Yeah.
For promotional purposes. So you get into all this stuff, and it's like it's almost like the same business model, because our research methods are very similar. It's the way we buy in quantity and stuff like that is more favorable to us, actually, because we buy thinner quantity, because everything's domestic. But outside of that, it's relatively the same, except you're carrying all this liability with private label, and if you want to promote it the most aggressive way to get your product up and running, like, you're probably breaking the rules, and then you got all these product liability issues. And if your product doesn't win, you just lose that money. Like, to me, it's not even close that wholesale is a superior model. Now, I do think that private label is, for Amazon purposes, is the second best model. Like, I mean, I think you would agree with that too.
Yeah.
Because it's efficient. Like, that's the thing, is with wholesale or private label, like, whichever one you do, it's efficiency based, right? Because I'm ordering a big amount of stuff, and I'm able to sell it and build efficiency and make over time. So you don't have to reestablish your buys and the products that make you money every time you sell something.
There's one more point that I kind of alluded to with the if Steve Co gets this product up and running, there's nothing stopping me from coming in and private labeling a very similar, if not the exact same thing, just with my brand on it. With most, if not all of our products, the company has a registered trademark or intellectual property or product that is, has a registered patent or something that there's not going to be any imitators. Like, you may get competition on that listing, and that's when you reevaluate, but you don't have to worry about the exact same product coming to market, because these companies have actually invented something or brought something to market, and it is protectable, patentable, trademarked. And so that is another advantage, versus just, what I would call a generic or general private label product.